Welcome back to another episode of the Weight Loss Journey series. Today's installment comes in the form of a 72-hour fast. This is not the first time I've fasted. I have done it actually many times in the past. So this is not a new experiment for me, but I just want to go ahead and document the experience in case you're wondering what it's like. I'm going to show you my experience with it. So honestly, I am going to do a 72-hour fast because I have definitely completely fallen off my diet the last couple of weeks. I have not been doing well. I'm sure I haven't lost any weight. In fact, I probably put all the weight back on from the first month in the past couple of weeks. I was doing really well and had lost about 10 pounds, but I'm sure that in the last couple of weeks I've gained some, if not probably all of that back, because I've been eating really badly. I honestly don't know what my starting weight is. It's something that I usually do stay on top of, at least being aware of, but honestly these last 2 weeks have been really rough. Mentally, I know I've talked about that previously on my channel, but also just physically, like I said, I've not been sticking to my diet at all, and I feel quite bad about it, and I didn't want to get on that scale and confirm with that number that I'd messed up. So I currently don't know what the weight is. We are going to take a beginning weight though, don't worry. Let me explain a little bit. So we right now are at noon on a Monday afternoon. I just finished eating my meal for today. I did OMAD. Like I said, usually I would prepare a little bit better than I did, but I at least tried to do OMAD today. So that's where we're at. I just finished eating, so obviously I'm not hungry at all, and obviously right now is not a good time to take any sort of weight, but it is technically the beginning of the fast because I did just eat the last food I'm going to eat for the next 72 hours. So tomorrow morning I will have digested and everything after my morning bowel movement. Before I drink anything or eat anything, obviously I'm not going to eat anything, but before I even drink anything, I will get a starting weight so we know where we're at. It'll be a fun surprise for both of us. Yay. And then I'm just going to take you through the experience, and we're going to see how it goes, how hard it is. I'm going to let you know some tips and things that I've learned from previous fasting experiences and things that will come up during this one. And we'll talk about all of that. And then we will definitely end with an ending weight to see how much weight I lost during that 72-hour fast. Because for me, that is the goal. Fasting doesn't necessarily have to come with a goal of weight loss. But for me, that's one of the main reasons that I'm doing it. Some of the reasons anyways, that I choose to do fasting are going into ketosis and going into autophagy. In the absolute simplest of terms, I am not a doctor, a scientist, researcher, nutritionist, none of that. I am a person who looked this up on Google, so just bear that in mind. But basically, ketosis, in its most simplest of explanations, is when you do not have enough carbohydrates in your system, so your body will start using fat as fuel and burn off fat. And then autophagy, again, in my limited understanding, is when your body is so depleted of nutrients that its cells start repurposing junked parts of the cells into new cells and nutrients. And that part is particularly important to me because I am so overweight that as I lose weight, I'm afraid that my skin is not going to shrink back up as nicely as I would hope. And that cell replenishing situation is going to help with having more younger, elastic type of skin that shouldn't leave me with as much saggy skin after I've lost all of the weight. So with all of that said, let's get into the actual fasting process. So the only things I'm going to consume over the next 72 hours are water, lemon water, unsweetened tea, and black coffee. So right now I'm going to go grab a glass of water because I'm quite parched, and I will keep you up to date with anything that happens, how I'm feeling, all of that. We're at 9 p.m. on Monday. I really haven't had any sort of hunger pains today, which is exactly what I expected. Like I said, I did eat earlier in the day. I was starting to feel just a little bit hungry when my partner was making himself his dinner because all the smells in the house and everything smelled really good, and I was looking at this delicious looking food. So I started to feel a little bit of hunger pains, but it obviously wasn't genuine hunger, and just because it just went away on its own, and been feeling good ever since then. One tip I'll add here, and something that helps me greatly with my fasting, is making sure to stay hydrated. Not only does the water just keep my stomach more full feeling, but also I know that the first kind of effects of dehydration can feel like hunger sometimes. So just drinking a lot of water and a lot of unsweetened tea this evening, and about to head to bed now. So this first day has been quite a breeze, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. It is about 8:30 on Tuesday morning. I'm not even gonna lie. Last night was pretty rough. I think I spoke to you at 9, I believe it was, right about like midnight, like 11 or midnight. I'm sorry. I just realized probably all you can hear is crunching in the background. My dogs are eating breakfast. Um, I'm just gonna keep talking. I don't care. But so I think I talked to you at like 9 last night, and I was doing really good still, like feeling really great. Pretty much as soon as I like laid down in bed and was like ready to fall asleep, I started getting pretty hungry, and it was a little bit hard to sleep. And then I got into the situation where I was like hungry and tired, and I started to get really grumpy about it and was like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to get up and eat. And then I was like, but I'm so tired. I could just like probably go to sleep. So I made myself a little deal and was like, okay, go to sleep. And then if you wake up in the morning and you're still starving, just go ahead and quit. And I made that deal because I kind of knew that I would wake up not starving anymore. Like I said, I have fasted several times, so I kind of knew that if I just was like, oh, just like, I kind of tricked myself of like, oh yeah, you can do it in the morning. And I would have honored it had I woke up this morning genuinely still feeling as awful as I did last night. I would have went ahead and just broken it. But like I said, I know that those moments pass. And especially at first, they're much more intense and they're much more frequent and a lot harder to just like deal with and let pass. But as I continue on with fasting for more days and more time, those tend to get, they never really go away fully, but they get much less frequent and much less intense, so they're much easier to deal with. Like I said, usually I prepare a little bit better when I'm going to fast. This fast wasn't like necessarily planned. It's just sort of like because I was doing so badly, I want to sort of get myself back on track. Usually they're a little bit more planned and I prepare for them a little bit better. Some ways that I prepare for them is to vary my eating schedule in the days coming up to a fast. That way my body is not so used to like, oh, it's noon, like that's the time you eat, so I'm feeling hungry at noon, you know. Just vary it a little bit and your body isn't as used to like when you should feel hungry, which helps me. Also, I just try to eat less and less during those several days and just sort of like wind my food down to nothing rather than going from this time where I went from like just eating a lot to eating none. Usually I'll just sort of wear it down a little bit. This day I'll eat a little bit less. This day I'll do, oh man, this day, you know, I less and less until I'm actually fasting. And then I also just make sure to cut out sugar completely for a couple days before I fast usually, because sugar just gives me the most intense hunger pains. I've noticed like huge differences when I'm eating sugar and when I'm not. So that's yet another thing that's making this so hard, and that's why I feel like it was hard to sleep last night, is because I went from eating very regularly. So I was eating not only a lot each meal, but I was eating 3 meals a day and snacks and desserts and a lot of like sugar heavy things and whatnot. So to go from one extreme to the other is a little bit more difficult. But frankly, that's why I kind of wanted to document this experience, because I think this experience is a little bit more like me coming at it from a beginner or unprepared, the way that I think a lot of people are going to come into their first fast is more unprepared for it. So hopefully things like this and tips like this can help you to prepare. But like the first one's going to be probably the hardest. It got easier as I continued fasting, because especially now in moments like last night where I was like, oh my God, I'm like so hungry, it's painful and all this stuff. It's like, oh, well, I've done this a million times. Like, I know for sure that it's going to pass and I won't feel that way. And that helps a lot in that moment, knowing that. Whereas when I started fasting originally, it's like I didn't know that. So those moments were particularly hard because I didn't like know for sure that there was a quick ending coming to it. So I am going to make myself some coffee. Oh, before I do that, though, I need to take a weight. So let's get our beginning weight. Another thing that I find really helpful when fasting and having hunger pains is exercise. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but I actually find it helpful for a couple of reasons. Number one being that it's just a good distraction. So instead of thinking about how hungry I am, I'm focused on whatever activity I'm doing and just having fun with that, which is helpful. Number two is that it makes me feel like I'm getting the most out of my fast. I'm already burning fat just by being in ketosis and autophagy, and so when I add extra fat burning and calorie burning on top of that, it just mentally feels like I'm really doing something, like I'm really making the most of the fast. And for three, it just like revs up my metabolism and makes me feel like I'm digesting really well and just like gets my body moving, gets everything moving, so it makes me feel a lot better. Okay, we are at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. We are several hours past when I usually would have eaten for today, and I am definitely feeling like we're several hours past when I usually would have eaten. So definitely got some like hunger pains going on. And that actually made me think of another tip I wanted to get on here and share, which is honestly just like changing your mindset about fasting. So for example, my stomach is like rumbling and like grumbling and all of that, and like having the feeling of hunger, and usually that makes me think of like, oh, I'm so hungry. But instead, every time my stomach growls or makes a sound or whatever, I just think I'm losing weight. Instead of I'm hungry, I think of I'm losing weight. Like that's the sign that every time my body is like asking for more food, it's gonna have to dig into my stores to fulfill that need, because I'm not going to fulfill it for it, right? So every time that stomach growls or like I get a little bit uncomfortable in my stomach or anything, I just definitely make myself think about the fact that that just means that I'm losing weight. That is a sign that things are going well. That I also try to plan my fasting for days that I know I'm going to be busier. Distractions are really, really key. Along the same vein that I was talking about exercise being a distraction, I find a lot of other things too. So I just set aside a lot of different projects or things or TV shows or different things that I wanted to get done to do specifically while I'm fasting so that I stay distracted, because the more time spent sitting around thinking about how hungry I am, the longer it goes on, the harder it gets. So the more I can keep myself distracted with little projects and fun things, the better. We're at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning, which means we are 45 hours into this fast. I'm having a cup of black coffee with a little squirt of lemon in it. Both of those things are supposed to help rev your metabolism, and it's kind of just nice to have like a flavored warm beverage in the morning. I get a little bit tired of water. So there's that. Yesterday went really, really well. As I said, I was just really staying distracted. It's the key to everything. The part for me that gets a little difficult is, again, in bed last night when I'm just laying there with nothing but me and my thoughts, and starting to get pretty hungry. I was like really starting to get fed up with it, and I was just like, you know what, like I'm just gonna quit. Like I don't care anymore. And I was like what if you just had like a few bites of something? I was kind of like trying to talk myself into like doing something that I wasn't supposed to, right? And I was like, what if you just had like a few bites of something, right? Like it's not a meal. But I just was like, okay, yeah, go ahead, have your few bites. Do the exact thing that you told yourself at the beginning of this you weren't going to do. Go back on what you said you were going to do. Do the exact same thing that you always do that always makes you feel badly about yourself. Go ahead. And that thought really just talked me out of it, because I was like, yeah, that would be stupid, wouldn't it? So I just went to bed, and here we are the next morning. The next morning is always way, way better for me. I wake up like the hunger pains are pretty much gone. Like, yeah, I'm a little like hungry, but it's not like, I don't know, it's just not like it is at night for some reason. I am just a little bit frustrated at my lack of planning for this fast, because I have an event tonight and it's a dinner and I didn't really think all of that through when I decided I was going to be fasting today. But you know what? It's all right. I'm reframing. That's like the whole thing about this is like reframing negative thoughts about it into positive ones. So like, instead of thinking like, oh, I'm going to have to sit around and like watch people eat and all that. No, I'm thinking I still get to go out. I still get to be social and like see my friends and do all of that. And in fact, I get to save money while I'm like, I don't even have to spend money to do it. So instead of like viewing it as a negative, I'm going to just twist it into a positive and be happy about it, that because I haven't seen these people in quite a while and I'd like to get out and go see them. So when the thought of like, well, maybe I won't go because I don't want to be around them eating popped up, it was like, well, no, like I really, really want to go. So I'm still going to go and just reframe it in a positive of I get to go out, have a nice night out with friends, and I don't have to spend any money to do it. Good morning. We are at 9 a.m. on Thursday, which means there are 3 hours left in this fast. It's gone pretty well overall. There's been some moments of discomfort, some moments of awkwardness, but for the most part, it's gone really, really well, and I'm like surprised it's over so quickly. Last night's dinner went really, really well. I was a little bit nervous that I was gonna be like uncomfortable or awkward, that I was the only one not eating. But honestly, I was so caught up in conversation, and so was everyone else, that it didn't even matter at all, and I had a really nice time. I'm glad I went, because I did for a second there think about not going just because it was a dinner. So I'm glad that I didn't let that stop me and went out and had some nice times. So like I said, we are 3 hours from the end of this fast, which means the next thing you're going to see from me is how I break the fast, because how you break the fast is also very important. It is noon on Thursday, which means we have reached the end of this 72-hour fast. So now I'm going to talk about how I break my fast. So in the past, I have definitely eaten too heavy or too much food when I break my fast. Usually I want to go with just like a light, small serving of fruit to initially break it. So I'm going to start with these 3 little apples. They're just the only fruit that I have in the house right now, so that's going to work. And then and I'm going to eat those right now at noon to break it. And then in about an hour or 2, I'm going to eat a light, somewhat easily digestible meal, like some rice or like something that's gentle on the stomach, not like a greasy, heavy pizza or something like that. And with that, that is my entire 72-hour fasting experience, plus tips and tricks. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the little thumbs up down below. Go ahead and subscribe while you're hanging out down there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.